For more on what's happening to New York, I'm now being joined live on The World Today by Ramon Taylor in New York. Ramon, thank you so much for joining us again on The World Today.
Happy to be here.
Now, could you just give us an update of what's happening in New York?
Well, there's been a lot more emotion, I would say, on the streets. There's colder weather, some heavier winds, but that hasn't stopped the protesters from coming out. Last night we saw a bigger outpour of support, and really in the thousands. So really what we've seen is people are not letting down on this issue. 200 people were arrested last night. That's compared to about 86 the night before. But the protests were mainly peaceful. We saw a lot of die-ins, which is people laying on the streets in Times Square, which is not too far from where I stand right now. And so from Foley Square, where we saw thousands of people gathered to the streets all throughout the city, blocking traffic. This is a protest that has really gotten everyone's attention, not only here but elsewhere in the United States. One protester mentioned that this is the necessary thing to be able to stop the traffic and show everybody that we're not just going to stop, go home and go back to work the next day. We need to show that this is wrong and something needs to be done about it.
Now, speaking of something needing to be done about it, we do understand that people are anticipating the federal investigation that's supposed to take place being a means for the Eric Garner and his family to get justice. Is there a possibility that a new trial will take place based on the outcome of these investigations that are expected to take place?
Well, the short answer is no, and that it's very unlikely. What happens now is the police officer is cleared of all criminal charges by the grand jury. However, what this federal investigation now does is it determines where some of his actions crossing the line in terms of his duties as a police officer. Were they racially motivated? These are the issues that they're now going to determine in a civil rights lawsuit. So basically what can happen, most likely as of right now, and I shouldn't speak that soon, he doesn't have his badge, he doesn't have his gun, he's working out of the office, but he could lose his position altogether. Separately, a lawsuit could be filed by the family against him, but that we have to wait to see whether anything's going to come out of that.
Well, Ramon, based on what we've seen recently, there's been lots of use of excessive force, and I did get a chance to speak to you earlier, and you spoke about retraining expected to take place of the police officers. Could you tell us more on that, please?
Well, here in New York, Bill de Blasio is currently suggesting that the 20,000 police officers of this city, which, remind you, is a number greater than some forces in entire countries, 20,000, would be trained over 3 days. This would be a program that would cost approximately $35 million by the city. What would this help do? This would help officers in the use of lethal force, when and when not to use it, but also in more subtle matters such as posturing, so that it doesn't seem hostile, how to de-escalate in a certain situation. So these are some of the efforts that we're seeing take place. A lot of protesters don't think that it's enough. We'll have to wait and see what the outcome of that will be. Separately, the issue of whether body cams should be implemented and whether it's actually going to be useful, after we saw a case where, again, the whole public, millions around the world, viewed in front of their eyes what happened to Eric Garner. That's another issue that we have to wait and see. Basically, there are two separate studies that suggest that those who do wear body cams are 2 times less likely to use force. Another study in Mesa, Arizona. Again, these are early studies showing that there were 65% less complaints by those for those police officers that did wear body cams. So again, those options are not off the table, and we'll wait to see what happens with that.
Well, finally, before I let you go, Ramon, how would you say social media has affected this case, especially since we have evidence, if you want to call it that, being the video of the chokehold? How would you say it's affected this case in particular?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. Social media is in a frenzy, and for good reason, as had been seen in previous protests and revolutions in 2011 in Cairo. We see one image that's been retweeted so many times showing the similarities of Tahrir Square in 2011 and Foley Square in New York. Now the situation is completely different. You be the judge of what's to come out of that. But we're seeing, images pouring from around the nation, from New York City, showing where these protests are taking place, and also showing support for the families with popular hashtags such as his last words, "I can't breathe," "This stops today." Another one, "Criming while white." One person I spoke to from New York recently told me that he broke down. He was an African American. He broke down when he read some of the tweets that white people around the city have shown in getting away with certain offenses because it's a different reality to him. So these are some of the messages that are being shown around the world through Twitter, through social media, and it's really gained the attention of the world.
The here is Ramon Taylor. As always, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us on The World Today.
Thank you.